Get this taped up so that I don't get too much retention in the trigger guard there on the slide. And there's a little bit of the slide release has a little notch right here, so I went ahead and taped it up too, just in case it decided it wanted to conform too much. But basically, got that. Got this kydex in the oven. Just gonna do a bottom fold holster real quick. Line that up with the top. Fold this over. Clamp everything down. Nice and snug. I'll let that sit for a minute. Alright, that's cooled off and formed up and got some pretty good definition going on there. If you notice, I did have that doubled up piece of cardboard, and on these bottom folds, what you run up into, or what I've ran into, is if you don't put some kind of spacer in there when you're making it, this will be touching pretty much, and you don't get any adjustability in your retention. So this is actually the first one I've done with the doubled up cardboard, but it seems like it's a pretty good gap there, and it's pretty loose right now on the gun. Let me set this down. Okay, hang this out right here. It's pretty loose right now, but like I said, you'll be able, it's not too bad loose, but you will be able to put a retention screw in right there and clamp down on it really good and still have the ability to adjust that. And it's not perfectly square. Right now what I'm going to do is go out and just on my miter saw just square up all of this right here, and then I'll come back in, test fit it, and then take a Dremel and trim out so when you draw it your finger doesn't hit the holster. Alright, came back in, got everything squared up, and what I like to do on the corners, like here, I like to cut them at like a 45 or so, just so there's no like super sharp corners, since this is going to be an inside the waistband holster. And then I just take a palm sander and kind of round everything off that would be in contact with the inside of your waist. You know, like I said, I just set it on my miter saw and squared everything up so it looked all symmetrical and stuff on both sides. And what I'll do now, like I said, is I'll come in and trim out that spot with my Dremel, and then put the retention screw in somewhere around in here, and then make a clip here and put 2 screws in for that. Okay, It took a little bit longer than I expected, but I wound up having to redo this. I ran out of real estate with this one. I went to put that retention screw in, and it was either too loose, or by the time I got it tight enough, it was actually pinching down on this and wedging itself back out. So I just added a little bit more, came up to the top, and that seems to be working pretty good. What I've got, this screw here is a retention screw, and so I put it in with the screw head on the back side away from the clip, so you can still adjust that. And I had initially planned on doing 2 of these, but it was just a little bit thicker down here, and this is a 3/8 inch screw, and it was just a little bit too wide for me to get that in. So I've got some 1/4 inch screws, and I just run it in from the inside. Take this off real quick. And maybe you can see, probably not, but there's that screw head and that spacer right there. I guess you can buy spacers, but what I do, especially on the inside, because you're not going to see them anyway, is I use fuel line, because it's rubber and squishy, and you can get it pretty cheap, and it'll hold up because it's made to have fuel in it all the time. You can see that screw head a little bit better now, but they're just flat on the inside, so no worries about scratching. Plus it's in front of the trigger guard anyway. So I did put a little cant in this. This guy wants to carry at 4 o'clock, so I canted it so that the gun would be easier to draw. And what I'm going to do now is just put it in like I was wearing it, and I will heat this up with a blow dryer. If you've got a heat gun, you can do that too, but I mean, a blow dryer gets hot enough to do it, and I'll just bend it over and then tuck it back under my belt. I've got a pretty decent size belt, so if it fits on my belt, it should fit on most belts. And so yeah, I'll heat that up till it gets pliable, bend it about right here, right at halfway up the trigger guard or so, come over and then just make a little tag there for the end. Alright, I guess I don't have a front face camera on the video part of my phone, and I found that out the hard way. So sorry about that crappy left-handed footage there. But it sits pretty well. Conceals very well. I thought, didn't print at all. Felt pretty good, and I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. I did, just so it would be a little easier to put on and off a belt. You might not can tell, again, because of the light and stuff. But I cut some little ears. You're not going to be able to tell, I guess. But just so those weren't square corners on the end. Man, that would be maybe a little bit right there. I just kind of took the corners off of that so there wasn't so much up under the belt. And it just makes it a little bit easier to get on and off a belt without having to actually loop it through. But that's pretty much it. Had I not had to start over, it would have been just a little over an hour it took me to build. Got about an hour and 45 minutes because of this doodad. But I'll show you real quick. That's just a 2x8. That's another 2x8. These are some foam nail board things for a garden that I got at the Dollar Tree for $1. And then those are just some Harbor Freight clamps. I think they're 8-inch, maybe. They may just be 6-inch. But anyway, Kydex is pretty cheap. I get just 080 kydex. There's 4 sheets. I think I give about $20 for that shipped on Amazon. Again, with the Harbor Freight stuff. Dremel, we got like an 80-piece Dremel kit thing for $10. The fuel line that I talked about, that's basically free because you don't use much at all. These are those little screws, again on Amazon, 1/4-inch Chicago style screws. Those are my bigger screws. And painter's tape, that's basically it. In every other kydex video on the internet will tell you this, but I just popped my kydex in the oven on a cookie sheet after I cut it to whatever size I need. Preheat it to 350, and by the time it gets to 350 I can turn the oven off and it's ready to go. That's about it. Give you a quick walk around the gun again. But I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to reholster it while it was in my pants, and I probably could have one-handed and filmed it, but it actually went in just as easy as it came out. So all in all, like I said, there's an hour, a little over an hour, once you get used to doing it in that, and a couple of screws, and it probably, out of about 12 by 12 sheets of that kydex and holsters like this, I could probably get 4, maybe 5 holsters out of one sheet. So it's $5 a sheet, so just say $1.25 worth of kydex, well, plus a little bit more for the clip, so we'll say $1.50. So it's pretty easy once you get used to it. I didn't think it was going to be as easy as it was, and the reason I got into it is because I exclusively carry revolvers, and there's not a big, I don't know if, hey, there's my hand, and there's not a big selection for revolver carries. So just kind of out of necessity, I just tried to make a kydex holster, and it was as easy as it looked. And anyway, thanks.